Hi there, Cosmic Family. My name is Leal, and the moon today has entered in Leo in opposition with Pluto already direct in Aquarius. For some people, this awakening of Pluto could bring, certain revelations of information that was hidden, and that, they are changing a lot of the experience from here and on. The moon in this phase is emphasizing creative processes, both, the will of approaching them as much as sharing them. And it is also an energy to put consciousness over certain imbalances because, Leo is ruled by the sun. The sun right now is in Libra, responding to a Venus that is in its domicile, and that is perfecting certain aspects today. And well, these imbalances could have to do with the excess of focus on the recognition that other people could give us, wanting to feel seen or approved by others. And I am saying excess because I think it is very genuine, the desire of feeling that what we are or what we have to offer creatively is appreciated by others. That's how we can notice that what we are giving or sharing is a way of contributing with other people. But when that energy is polarized, and we are doing what we are doing only for the recognition, and we lose the enjoyment of creating because that is something that we like to do, or developing a talent only if we obtain the approval of others. This phase could also mean, realizing that we are investing too much energy in certain spaces where what we are giving is not being valued, where we are feeling that the energy is lost. That could be a signal that we don't have to keep continuing depositing that energy there, whether this is a relationship or a space where we are not feeling that, that contributes with our development or the development of the project. There are creative projects that many times aren't working because of many factors, perhaps because they are not part of our purpose, perhaps because the soul, it is not developing through that project. And knowing and recognizing that it is an act of humbleness. It is not a failure because we aren't enough, but it is a learning, a very important learning, in fact, for life. And coming back to Venus in Libra, which is the regent of the next event, from today, it is activated the new moon in this sign. I'm going to talk about that event in short. It is a very transformative one. Today, Venus perfected the trines with Pluto in Aquarius and with Uranus retrograde in Gemini, which is conforming a configuration that is called Grand Air Trine. And also this participates of the cosmic guide with Saturn and Neptune that I've been talking the last 3 or 2 videos. So it is important to have in account this energy in the context of what I've been mentioning. And this can impulse, new ideas, conversations that are going to create change, or collaborations that can flow easily. And that, those collaborations can have this transformative energy for the people that are participating, but also for others, like communities or groups. So associations to create projects with this energy is something that can flow very, very well. What happens many times when we have too much trines in the sky, it is that people are not taking advantage of them because it is an energy that flows naturally and connects, and people many times they don't do anything with that. This also happens when people have trines in their natal charts, because it's something that flows easy. We are running the risk of not developing that. So in other level, these aspects that continue to be on track the next days could be, to be in much contact with the changes that can actually, involve this rebalance in our lives, or a new form of balance. And whether these are decisions that can produce a certain level of uncertainty, or that are leading us to having to face certain fears or resistances with a trine with Pluto, there is greater disposition to connect with our inner power than if we would have a square. And it is, something curious, because yesterday I was telling you that Venus represents the desire, and that the primary desire that we all have, it is to grow, it is to approach ourselves to the light of the infinite. And that happens, of course, through the processes that we experiment here in the plane of matter. Now that Venus is opposed to Neptune, we have to understand that desire, when it is not distorted or deviated by the conditionings of the ego, as the will of the cosmos, or the divinity, or God, as you want to call it, expressing itself inside of us, which is Neptune. This is the symbol of Neptune, which is the major octave of Venus. And that's why it happens, for some people in certain phases of the path, that they desire to make certain decisions, to do something, to create something, and that desire generates a lot of resistances or fears, or even they could try to not listen to that desire, because responding to it signifies moving out from a known space and moving forward to a process where they don't have control at all. It is about surrendering to that path. And this is something that all the transpersonal energy shares, all the transpersonal planets, this greater force bigger than oneself, that we can allow to channel that energy, accepting it in our lives. But if we try to battle that, it is the one that loses, in the sense that we are going to suffer, because there is no win or losing actually with energy. Actually, those kind of experiences are part of something that life brings, so we can break or dissolve a shell of our identity, a layer of the identity, so the soul can reveal itself in its desire of growing in a new form. And also beyond this, we can discover that behind the surrendering, the acceptance to what life is proposing, especially if we have experimented a period of resistance before, we can find, this enormous relief and this inner peace that is renewed. And many times people could even ask, why they didn't do that before, they didn't take the decision before. And the answer could be because there is no absolutes, that we had to transit the resistance to learn to let it go and to understand how we can choose to transit changes in a different way. But there is no, plan. There is no one way of living life. Each one has, their own process, and the form that we transit those processes are part of the individual revelation. Thank you, everyone. See you in the next video. Ciao, ciao.